King Ghidorah, the Three-Headed Monster, has over the years become Godzilla's arch-rival. In part, this is due to Toho saving money by reusing the same monster over and over again, but it is also ingrained into his very origin story to be an ultimate planetary threat, and oh boy, it's a good setup for a monster. King Ghidorah was the big bad monster of Venus, so big and so bad in fact that he is apparently solely responsible for eradicating all life on the planet and reducing it to its current inhospitable state, and now he's on his way to wreak havoc on Earth. It's clear from the get-go that no one monster could stand against Ghidorah alone. Fortunately, Japan does seem to have an excess of giant monsters at the moment, but we'll get into all that in a while because, sorry to say, Ghidorah is something of a bit player who only shows up at the end of his own origin story. The actual story focuses on a big ensemble of human characters all off doing their own things before coming together in the end. A police detective is given the job of protecting the princess of a foreign country who wants to hide out in Japan to evade an assassination plot against her. Meanwhile, his sister is a reporter covering the various mysterious phenomenon that is happening to Earth, heralding Ghidorah's arrival. It's implied that there's lots of odd phenomenon going on, but the two that are called out in the story are a worldwide heat wave, giving the planet summer-like conditions in winter, and a worldwide meteor shower. Two of the meteors are of interest to us. One contains the essence of Ghidorah, and we follow a group of scientists who are studying it. Side note here, I always thought that Hiroshi Kazumi had reprised his role from Mothra vs. Godzilla, but it turns out he's a different professor with a nearly identical name. If you're following along with me, you've probably noticed by now that many actors have been returning to these movies to play different parts, but damn, it feels like they missed a trick here not having him play the same role. What with it being so similar? Thanks, researching stuff to make a video. Hell with it. To me, he's the same guy. The other meteor of interest seems to contain the spirit or spirits of the ancient Venusians, who want to help Earth avoid the fate of her sister planet. This meteor intercepts the princess's airplane mid-air and saves her from being assassinated by a bomb. They leave everybody else aboard, presumably because the dumb clothes they wear in that fictional country. From this point forward, the Venusians take control of her body and use her as a mouthpiece to spread their message to the planet. She shows up in Japan a few days later as a prophet warning of the coming of Rodan, Godzilla, and Ghidorah. Unfortunately, not many take her seriously, but two who do are the Shobijin, who were visiting Japan to keep everyone informed of how Mothra is doing. Turns out, not so well. One of the larvae has died off screen. It's too bad as it creates a big missed opportunity. It would have been really cool if Ghidorah would have killed one as a show of power, but I guess it just didn't work out that way. This marks the end of the little 3-episode character arc that the fairies have been on. When they first showed up in Mothra, they were exploited for entertainment purposes, while Mothra was laying waste to anything in her way to try to get them back. In Mothra vs. Godzilla, they were there to argue against the same happening to Mothra's egg, in the interest of protecting people, but still needed to be convinced that going after Godzilla was the right thing to do. Now in Ghidorah, not only are they kind of celebrities, they are the ones who are doing the most about the space monster. Once what's happening is made clear, they proactively go before the Security Council to offer Mothra's help, and they come up with the idea of trying to enlist the help of Godzilla and Rodan. Generally, with this big group, there's a lot of fun adventure, as they try to get to the bottom of the Prophet's dire warnings, all the while dodging assassination attempts on the princess's life. This whole thing reminds me a lot of Star Wars, and that shouldn't be too surprising. George Lucas has always listed Akira Kurosawa as one of his influences. Well, Ishiro Honda, the director of the lion's share of Toho's early monster movies, was literally mentored by the man. It's entirely fair to say that Star Wars and Godzilla share a lineage with each other, and I basically consider them very close cousins. It shows itself from time to time, and the plot of this movie is one of the strongest examples. But I know nobody's here for Star Wars, you all came here for Avengers memes.
I'm bringing the party to you.
I don't see how that's a party.
Dr. Banner, now might be a really good time for you to get angry.
That's my secret, Captain. I'm always angry.
Yes, This is the movie where Godzilla, Rodan, and Mothra, three monsters who headlined their own movies, came together to fight a threat none of them could fight on their own. A well-executed idea that would prove to be half a century ahead of its time. But as we move into that, I want to take a second to talk about suspension of disbelief. Suspension of disbelief is a tricky thing. It seems most people believe that it rests solely in the hands of the storytellers to convince you to go along with their conceits. I don't think so. The story at hand may determine how deep and how wide the gap within the brain of the audience is, and it's the story's responsibility to provide materials and the design for the bridge to cross it. But I say the work of building that bridge is and has always been an active imagination on the part of the audience. I say all this because Ghidorah has an infamous scene that pushes suspension of disbelief to, and for some, past the breaking point, the monster debate. Mothra has again decided to help Japan, but she can't handle Ghidorah alone. So a radical plan is needed. It is decided that Mothra will try and enlist the help of Godzilla and Rodan, who are busy fighting each other at the foot of Mount Fuji. And that's what she does. The monsters all sit down and talk it out. Thankfully, this isn't entirely monsters grunting at each other. We get a translation of what's being said, care of Mothra's fairies.
They're getting apologies from each other. They're both so bull-headed.
These monsters are as stupid as human beings.
Depending on the strength of your suspension of disbelief, this is either a moving little scene echoing the human drama of the last movie, or the moment when Godzilla careens inescapably into childish nonsense. I love this stuff. I've said before that I prefer Godzilla to be the hero, and this is the moment he chooses to be one. It brings to mind one of Honda's most famous quotes regarding Godzilla. Monsters are tragic beings. They are born too tall, too strong, too heavy. They are not evil by choice. That is their tragedy. They do not attack people because they want to, but because of their size and strength, mankind has no other choice but to defend himself. After several stories such as this, people end up having a kind of affection for the monsters. They end up caring about them. At this point, Godzilla was emerging as Toho's big star, and they knew if they were going to continue to use him, something would have to change. Making him a hero was the smartest thing they could have done. But at this point, Godzilla is still just hired help. It wouldn't be till the next movie that Godzilla fully took on the mantle of hero, and boy, he sure looks happy about it. Till the next one, here's to time well wasted. Bow, down, bow, bow, bow. Bow, 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 bow. Down, down, down. Bow, bow, na, 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 na. Bow, bow, bow. Dun, 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 dun.